Christmas season has come and gone, and the sales abound. Will the Braves take advantage of some hopefully lower prices? We'll discuss who they could be targeting through the rest of the offseason. All that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastriani, and you can follow me on social media at Shortstop Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. And if you've already done that, hit that thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below, as it does help the show out a ton whenever you do those things. If you're listening on the audio version, you can help out by leaving a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcast. Hope you all had a great Christmas. Looking forward to getting back into some Atlanta Braves discussion. Unfortunately, not a lot to discuss over the last several days that we have been absent. But again, hope you all had a great Christmas. Looking forward to the rest of this offseason, getting into the new year, because this is one step closer to spring training, to college baseball season to get things started, and then getting into some more Atlanta Braves baseball. As rough as 2024 was on many fronts, cannot wait to get back at it in 2025. We got a long way to go to get there, and hopefully several Braves moves before we get there. We'll discuss that on today's episode. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Like I said, there's still a lot to be decided this offseason. There's still plenty of big names left in free agency. Obviously, some trades that can be made. But to this point, the Braves have done nothing, essentially, other than cut payroll. We have not seen them add. We have not seen them spend it all this offseason. I don't think that will remain. But what is left? And with the prices and how they have been in free agency, is Alex going to have to wait to get some of these players hopefully at a discount at the last minute? And that's what I'm going to focus on in the first segment today. I'm going to look at some players out here that I think maybe you can get on a discount that could perhaps help this team. And like I said this from the get-go, and I'm going to continue to say it, with this Braves roster, you don't have to go out and get a Juan Soto. It would be nice. You don't have to even re-sign a Max Fried. It would be nice. If this roster stays healthy and performs like they're capable, this is a roster that is good enough to win a World Series. But we know teams don't stay healthy, and we know you need depth. And that's what Alex Anthopoulos has to do, is find this team some quality depth to help them get through the regular season and get to the postseason as healthy and as fresh as possible to make a deep run. That is his goal. But the pieces are in place. You just got to put some final touches on it and add some depth to help give them the best chance. So again, the names that I'm going to discuss here in this first segment, these are the leftovers from Christmas. This is hopefully some names that you can get at a discount if you want to stay under the luxury tax, that I think could still help you and give the Braves what they need. In the second segment, we're going to look at the free agent class in total at what's left. I'll take some of your comments. I will tell you who, my wish list, who I think, or I would hope that the Braves would go after, and then we'll finish up with some news around Major League Baseball. Let me start with my bargain shopping, my post-Christmas sale items that I would go after right now if I am Alex Anthopoulos, if you're wanting to be cheap and just kind of build some depth. Bear with me with this first one, really all of these. Lance Lynn. 1 year, $8 million for Lance Lynn. He made $10 million last year with the Cardinals. I'm hoping all these moves, I'm hoping you can do under 10 million. That's kind of the rule for this first segment. So if you're going to play along in the comment section, let me know, but also it has to be somebody that you can get for 10 million or less. And I'm hoping that can be the case with Lance Lynn. Now, I'm fine with doing this deal with either Lance Lynn, Charlie Morton, Jose Quintana. Pick one of those three that you want. I'm going to get into Lance Lynn, though, and tell you why he's my pick. And this isn't why, but he's been pretty bad the last two seasons. A 4.99 ERA and a 1.372 whip. That is not great. And that is certainly not a reason to go out and get Lance Lynn. But 301 innings over those last 2 years. 3.3 walk per nine is not bad, and a K per nine of 9. So he's still able to strike out a batter an inning. He made 23 starts for the Cardinals last year, a 3.83 ERA. Again, not bad, and 117 innings. So he gave you over 100 innings. He gave you a solid ERA. He kept you in some games. However, his xERA was 4.94. That is not great. The expected batting average has gone up. The walks have gone up, and the strikeouts have slightly gone down over the last several years. There is clearly some decline here for an aging Lance Lynn. He's not. I'm not trying to sell you that Lance Lynn is going to come back and be, the great version of Lance Lynn that we've seen in the past, in the very distant past at this point. But his four-seam fastball had a run value of 16 last year. It's always been his best pitch, and it's still a really good fastball. And that's the key to any pitcher having success. So you have that right off the bat. The righty has been a workhorse in the past. He threw over 180 innings just 2 seasons ago. So, he still has that in the tank to be able to throw a lot of innings. And that's really what we're looking for here. Again, this doesn't have to be a top of the rotation arm. It has to be somebody that can hold things together until hopefully Spencer Strider comes back. And then at that point, hopefully allow you to maybe go to a 6-man rotation to give guys day off and try to keep your top horses at the beginning of the rotation fresh. And that's what we're looking for here. And he finished last year strong. He got injured in July, but came back in September, made 2 starts in September, and allowed just 2 earned runs on 9 hits and 3 walks over 11 innings with 12 strikeouts. So again, he finished strong as well. And his last 3 starts in July, before he got injured, he allowed just 3 runs and 16 innings on just 12 hits. So again, he finished the year strong. He was looking much better. And also you look at Lance Lynn's season from last year, 16 of 23 starts, he went at least 5 innings. So again, he's going deeper into ball games for you, eating those innings. 14 of 23 starts, he allowed 2 earned runs or less. So over half the time, he's not only going 5+ innings for you, but he's also limiting runs, keeping the other team off the board, which is what you want to do as a starting pitcher. And in 21 of 23 starts last year, he allowed 4 earned or less. If you're looking at Lance Lynn as your 4th or 5th starter, give me 5 innings of 4 earned or less, and I will take that. I will take that every day. And again, more than half of the time, he's doing much better than that, 2 earned or less. And so pretty much all but 2 starts last year, he kept the team in the game. There are already reports of him getting into better shape. I know it's that time of year. Everybody's getting into better shape. But there are reports of him, saying, I want to continue pitching. I want to get better. I want to make some improvements, to stay healthier. Those knees have been giving him issues for several years now. He went on the IL twice last year. So he's already, he says he's not done yet. He would bring that veteran presence, a guy with over 2,000 career innings and over 2,000 strikeouts. So there is a lot of experience here with Lance Lynn in the postseason as well. And you get a little bit more fire than you do with Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton is a great clubhouse leader. He's a great interviewee. You hear Grant talk about it on the show. Everybody in that clubhouse that talks about it, Charlie Morton's always somebody that you can go to for a good quote, and that's great. Lance Lynn brings a little bit something different. He's a little bit more on that Chris Sale side of things. He's going to bring some of that fire and that passion. I know a lot of Braves fans have been looking for that. And again, to be fair, I'm okay with Lynn, Morton, or Quintana. Anybody that you can get on this 1 year, $6 to $8 million range, again, anything under $10 million, I would be happy with to come in to fill that veteran role, innings eater, try to keep the other guys fresh. And, look, it's not to me so much about can these guys be better than an AJ Smith-Shawver, an Ian Anderson, a Bryce Elder. It's you're going to need those guys at some point too, but giving these veteran guys to give you some depth and hopefully give you some quality innings and keep you in games more often than not. And I think Lance Lynn has the chance to do that. I understand if you don't. I see Jeffrey Humphreys. I don't care for Lance Lynn. The Braves crush him regularly. Well, the Braves offense has been one of the best in baseball before last season. I get that, and I'm not trying to sell you on the fact that Lance Lynn is going to come back and be some sort of all-star. I'm trying to sell you on the fact that for under $10 million, you can get a guy that can maybe give you 150 innings next year, be a veteran presence, bring some fire, some leadership as well, and can probably give you some quality games. It's going to keep you in the ballgame like he did for most of the time last year. Again, 21 of 23 starts, he gave up 4 earned or less. So he's able to keep you in the game as your 4th or 5th starter. All right, moving to the outfield. If you don't like If you're not sure about this one, I understand. I am not sure about this one. Alex Verdugo, 1 year, $7.5 million. If Kepler got 10 million, Verdugo might get that, as well as Verdugo is 3 years younger. But I'm hoping we get a little bit of a discount here. He has a 781 career OPS against righties compared to just 651 against lefties. So he has crushed righties in his career, and that to me is what the Braves need. For comparison, Kepler's numbers are 778 against righties and 655 against lefties. So pretty similar stats there. Kepler does give you more power. Verdugo gives you a little bit more of that on base contact. And again, he is 3 years younger, is Verdugo, than Max Kepler. But I could see them getting in that same price range. Maybe Verdugo gets an extra year because of his age. Verdugo, however, did not have a great contract year in New York, slashing 233, 291, 356 with 13 home runs in 149 games played. Before that, though, he had an OPS of 733 or higher in 5 straight seasons. He had been pretty consistent of being a guy in the 730, 800 OPS type of range. He's not going to provide much speed, but he's a league average in taking walks and doesn't strike out a lot. Just 15% of the time last year he struck out. So again, different type of bat, which I'm kind of okay with for the Braves, for somebody that's going to be batting down in the order, somebody that can get on base, put the ball in play. He also brings a bit of an edge, and could be a good thing if it's a Jock Peterson-like edge, could be a bad thing if it's a problem in the clubhouse. And I think that's what some people's concern is with an Alex Verdugo. I'm not here to judge. I don't know the guy personally. I'm not in the clubhouse with him. But I do think his skills that he brings on the field, where he's also not a terrible defender. Last year, he rated really well defensively by Baseball Savant and has always had a strong arm. But what he brings on the field is the type of bat that I'm looking for the Braves. Lefty that crushes righties, makes contact, can get on base. That's what I'm looking for the Braves in that final outfield bench spot. Maybe Acuna comes back, you move him or Kelnick to the bench, play the hot hand, whatever the case may be. Until Acuna comes back, you can use him with Brian De La Cruz in a platoon situation and play the matchups. But I just think what Verdugo's bat can bring, again, I don't know enough about the character to say one way or the other. I know he's a fiery guy, and that could be a good thing. It could also rub people the wrong way. I don't know that. But the bat itself, being a lefty, somebody that makes contact, can get on base, and somebody that crushes righties, that's what I'm looking for. And Verdugo certainly gives that. All right, final one here, relief pitcher, another former Yankee, Lou Trevino. Now, this is one, can you get him on a 1 year, $2 million deal? Can you get him on a minor league deal? He hasn't pitched to the big leagues in 2 years. He is a right-handed pitcher. This is a type of signing that to me is similar to what you got in Nick Anderson a couple years ago, a guy that had once been a really good reliever. Injuries kind of hit him, hadn't pitched in a while, trying to get back to that level. You take a shot on him and see what happens. This is the kind of deal I'm looking for with a Lou Trevino type of guy. His final outing in AAA last year, he averaged 95 on his sinker and his four-seamer, so he's got mid-90s velocity there. Also throws a slider and a cutter. He's always had really good ground ball rate, so somebody that can come in and get you a ground ball but has some strikeout potential, or at least has in the past. It's just a bit of an unknown because he hadn't pitched at the big league level in 2 years. And look, the Yankees were needing help in their bullpen at the end of last season, and they still didn't give this guy a chance. So that maybe is telling. But again, you get him on a split deal. Maybe you get him on a $1-2 million deal or something with some incentives. It's a guy that's been really good in the past. Can he get back to that level? Might be somebody cheap that you can take a shot on. So again, these are all keeping the Braves under $20 million spent this offseason to help keep them under the luxury tax, and players that I think fit what the Braves need. A veteran starter that can give you some innings and keep you in the ball game, a left-handed bat that can put the ball in play and crushes righties, and a reliever who potentially could get back to being, a ground ball specialist, setup type of guy in Lou Trevino. So let me know what you think about those budget deals. I understand they're not the guys that you want, but next I'm going to tell you about the guys that you want, because I asked you, who should the Braves go after with who is left? The best of the rest. We'll get into that here next. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? They've definitely helped me do that. I mentioned the other day, there's some subscriptions my kid just goes clicking around on the TV. I didn't even know we had. And thankfully, Rocket Money, they've helped me find those so that I can cancel them quickly. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. I had to read through that slowly. $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thanks as always for making Locked On Braves your first listen of the day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen solely, getting you caught up with everything happening around Major League Baseball. You can check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Coming up next on this podcast, we'll have our Friday mailbag episode on a Friday. So make sure you look for my post from LockedOn_Braves on Friday morning. Respond to that post with your question to be answered in this week's mailbag episode. Let's jump back into today's podcast, though, where we're going to look at the rest of the names out there that are left on the free agent market. And I'm going to tell you which ones that I would like for the Braves to go after. I know I just kind of gave you the bargain ones there, but let's say the Braves actually want to spend some good money this offseason. Who would you like to see them go after? Let me know down in the comment section below of the free agents still available. Who would you like to see the Braves go out and sign? I'm going to read some of your comments here in a second, but let's go through the list. At the catchers, I just don't see them bringing in a catcher at this point. But if I did, there's still some names out there, James McCann, Yasmani Grandal, Yan Gomes, Kurt Casale. There's several names out there, Martin Maldonado. If you could get one of these guys on a minor league deal that just, wants to hang around a chance to be on a big league club, I'm fine with Chadwick Tromp as my backup catcher to begin the year until potentially Drake Baldwin is ready. But there's still several names out here that I think could make sense to give you some veteran catching depth, which I hope they do. But again, I don't know that it'll be on a big league contract. Don't need any first baseman, but Pete Alonso is still out there. There's still several first basemen that are somewhat interesting. Shortstops, Nick Ahmed, Tim Anderson, Paul DeYoung, Ha-Sung Kim. So let's stop on Ha-Sung Kim for a second. He is a name that I said at the beginning of the offseason. In my ideal offseason, the Braves signed Ha-Sung Kim. Only problem with that, he's a Boris client. But, I still think if you could get him on a 1-year, $12 million deal, knowing he's going to miss the first month or two of the season, you already got two other guys who are doing that. I still like the idea of getting a talent of Ha-Sung Kim on the cheap like that, even if he's only going to play half a season for you. So I'm still okay with that if the Braves want to. If not, I'm fine with Nick Allen as kind of my defensive replacement at shortstop if there's not a trade out there to be had for obviously a big upgrade at shortstop. Third base, Alex Bregman's out there. He's not coming over to play shortstop. That's just not something that you typically change into later in your career. You usually go from shortstop to third base, not the other way around. But, unless the Braves want to shock us there, I don't think that is going to happen. In the outfield, Mark Canha is a guy that I mentioned before. I'm not particularly high on that. Dylan Carlson, if you want to take a chance on a young guy that hasn't really found it. I'm done with the Adam Duvall experiment. I was done with that a while ago. Robbie Grossman, if you wanted to get that right-handed bat that crushes lefties, he's out there. Same for Austin Hayes. Ramon Laureano obviously could bring him back. Teoscar Hernandez is the big one. If the Braves were going to I feel like if the Braves were going to make an impact move this offseason, Teoscar Hernandez is that guy out there that the Braves could go get that everybody would, I think, breathe a little bit because that is the big bat in the lineup and in the outfield that I think would help a lot. Now, I think starting pitching is a bigger need, but Teoscar Hernandez is the guy that, I thought they should have gotten last offseason, but you go do that this offseason and you can get him to play outfield this year and perhaps become your DH to replace Ozuna in the next couple of years. I've said the same thing about Anthony Santander, but I think I would rather have Teoscar between those two, depending on the price. So Teoscar Hernandez would be the one big ticket item out there. As far as bats go, that the Braves could get, but he's one of the best bats left out there, and many teams are still going after him. Tommy Pham's a guy that a lot of people have mentioned from the right side. Would be okay. I talked about Alex Verdugo, Jesse Winker. Those are two bats. Again, I like what both of those bats do. There are questions about them in the clubhouse, and I don't have insight to tell you whether or not that's true. There's been reports and stuff in the past. You've also heard reports, at least on the Jesse Winker side, to say that, he's been a good clubhouse guy. So I don't know. I can't speak to that, but what they do on the field is what I'm looking for with that outfield spot for the Atlanta Braves. Somebody that can do something a little bit different. Center fielders out there. Again, for me, it's not so crucial that the Braves find somebody who can play center field, but it would be nice. Kevin Pillar, Michael A. Taylor, Harrison Bader. I mean, those are some guys out there that are available that could still play center. But we saw Jared Kelenic do it last year, and I'm okay with that. I do think that hurt him at the plate a little bit. We saw the same with Adam Duvall several years ago. He had to get shifted over to center field, and that really hurt him at the plate as well. But again, I think Kelenic could cover it if he needed to. Let's just cross our fingers we get a full healthy season of Michael Harris in too many Michaels I'm thinking about. Michael Harris in center field this year. Some other names in the outfield. Randall Grichuk is a right-handed bat that I really love. I wish they would go and get. I feel like I hope the Brian De La Cruz move isn't their right-handed bat, or they don't feel it like that has to be their right-handed bat, because I think Randall Grichuk is really good as well. I don't think there's a reunion happening with Jason Hayward, and some people have mentioned that as a left-handed bat. I've loved it David Peralta for 6, 7, 8 years, but the 37-year-old now, I just don't think it's a fit as a left-handed bat. Same for Eddie Rosario. I'm not wanting to go down that path again. So those are some of the bats that are available. There's a number of pitchers as well. I'm not going to go through all of those, but some of the big ones, Jack Flaherty, Corbin Burns, those are two of the bigger names still out there that are available that would obviously be huge signings for the Atlanta Braves. I mentioned some of the maybe bargain ones earlier, like a Charlie Morton, like a Jose Quintana, like a Lance Lynn, maybe a Martin Perez. Nick Pivetta would be another good one as well, but he has a qualifying offer attached to him now. I don't think the Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander signings are going to happen. I don't think Jose Urena is going to happen, but I just saw that name come up, and that would certainly be interesting. But those are some of the names that pop out to me. Kyle Gibson is somebody as well. I'd put probably at the bottom of that list of, Lynn, Morton, Quintana, Kyle Gibson, guys that can just go out there and give you some innings and keep you in games most of the time. Those are some of the names that are left out there starting pitching. And there's a whole list of right-handed and left-handed relievers out there. All right, next, I will get into your comments, who you want the Braves to go after. Also, some news from around Major League Baseball. We'll get into the rest of that and wrap things up here next. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And you can check out all those NFL odds over on FanDuel.com. They also have 2025 odds out there for Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are still your heavy favorite to win the World Series at plus 320, but the Braves and the Yankees have the second best odds at 850, followed by the Mets at plus 900, and then the Phillies at plus 1,000. Don't you just love being in the NL East right now? They also have award winners out there for your National League MVP, and Acuna has the 6th best odds right now. I don't know how that's possible because he might miss a good chunk of the season. But again, you can see all that over at FanDuel.com. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/PlaySafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way that you play. Make everyone more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. As we wrap things up here, I asked you, looking at the list of free agents who are still available, who would you like to see the Braves go after? Jared Vickery says Reese McGuire, Alex Verdugo, Robbie Grossman, and AJ Minter. That Verdugo-Grossman combination would be pretty nice. Grossman to kill lefties, Verdugo to kill righties. That would be pretty solid there. Kayla Koo says Teo. I agree. Teoscar would be the one really big fish in my mind that the Braves could go out and get this offseason that would make a difference offensively and kind of the bat that they like, honestly, with all that power. And I think a bat that they need and certainly could use. Scott Karasik has a lot of moves for the Braves to do, including bringing back Nicky Lopez, Ha-Seong Kim, Ramon Laureano, Kevin Pillar, and Corbin Burns, also Kenley Jansen and AJ Minter. That would be quite the offseason. Albert Destrade says Kim, starting pitcher under 113 for Scherzer or Verlander, means at 10 mil or less. Outfield, Canna or Winker. And relief pitchers, Hoffman, Conley, or Kittredge. Hoffman's one I didn't mention, but I know he's a popular name among Braves fans to go after, to do a similar thing you did with Ronaldo Lopez last offseason. Give him a chance to start. If it works out, great. If not, you have a nice setup, man. I could see them going that route, and I wouldn't mind it. And, if my realistic ideal offseason the rest of the way, what I think could be realistic, I think that would include a Jeff Hoffman signing, and then maybe one of the smaller outfield names like I mentioned, and then a smaller relief pitcher name. I think you can go, if you're going to stay under the tax, I think you can go somewhat big on either an outfielder or a starting pitcher. I don't think you can do it on both. I think Hoffman is the cheapest. Like, say it's between signing a Teoscar Hernandez or signing a Jeff Hoffman. I think Jeff Hoffman would be cheaper if you can get him for $12, $13 million a year. Again, give him a similar deal to what you gave Lopez or what Clay Holmes got this offseason. That's going to be cheaper than giving Teoscar Hernandez $22 to $24 million a year. Kenny Taylor says Hayes or Laureano, Tanner Scott or AJ Minter, Kike. Tanner Scott's another one still available. Braves could use another left-handed arm to replace AJ Minter. You still do have Aaron Bummer and Dylan Lee. Ray Kerr further down did some good things last year. I mean, certainly you would love somebody that's a little bit more proven, like a Tanner Scott or an AJ Minter. But you do have some lefties that I think you can rely on. Chris1414 says Tanner Scott and Jose Quintana. But also mentioned a trade for Bo Bichette. I don't know about the Bo Bichette trade. I know we talked about that last time, that the Blue Jays are apparently willing to listen again. But if they just went out and got Tanner Scott and Jose Quintana, I think many Rays fans would be happy with that. Still be a little upset about the outfield situation, especially until Ronald returns. But Tanner Scott and Jose Quintana would be a nice way to, I say, finish off the offseason, but do something with the offseason. Dustin Mounds, wish list, Burns, Hoffman, Teoscar, and Kim. That would be the perfect offseason the rest of the way for what is left. If you get Corbin Burns, you get Jeff Hoffman, you get Teoscar Hernandez, and you get Ha-Seong Kim, let's go party, because that is the ideal offseason, at least for free agents out there. Reasonable, it's still unlikely. Hayes or Grichuk, I like both those guys from the right side. Turnbull or Kittredge. With AA's pass, he says Duvall, Grossman, Rosario, Kimbrel, Chavez, and Morton, since he keeps going back to the same well over and over. If any of those guys come back, I mean, Grossman, maybe, Chavez on a minor league deal, I'd be fine with Morton coming back. Even Kimbrel, I think if you got him on a cheap deal, I mean, he still has had runs over the past 3 years or past couple of years where he's been really good. But yeah, I'm done with Duvall. I'm done with Rosario. I've seen enough of that. Agon says left field, Teoscar or Santander, but assuming qualifying offer guys are no good, maybe Grichuk, and then Scott, Minter for left-handed relievers, Hoffman, Leclerc, Finnegan as right-handed relievers. I like all those guys too. All right, that's all the comments I have to get to today, but thanks for sending those in. I did want to get to some news because there's a lot of news that happened over the last several days that we hadn't talked about yet. One of the biggest ones is Walker Buehler signing a 1-year, $21.05 million deal with the Red Sox. They basically gave him a qualifying offer. I think many of us, myself included, liked the idea of signing a Walker Buehler as a bounce-back candidate, but I was thinking the deal would be something like 1 year, 12 to 15 million. Something like that to let him, try to reestablish himself and hit the market again. But as we've seen time after time this offseason, teams are willing to go well beyond what many of us and what many people predicted that these starting pitchers would get. Look, I would have been okay with the risk of signing Walker Buehler, but let's not forget this was a guy who hasn't had a full good season since the Braves last won a World Series, which, judging by your comments, was a long time ago. So again, this guy hasn't been good for a while. He hasn't been healthy for a while. We saw a good 10-inning stretch from him at the end of the postseason last year. And I said that when the offseason began, I said, I wonder if that's going to drive up his price. If he would have continued to be terrible in the postseason like he was all regular season, would a team be willing to give him over $20 million even for just 1 year? Probably not. But I think he made himself a good $6-7 million by that 10-inning stretch in the postseason. So again, had the Braves given him this deal, it's a 1-year deal. It's fine. It's basically replacing Charlie Morton. I would have been okay with that because I'm somewhat confident in Walker Buehler coming back and being a reliable pitcher again, but it's not a certainty. I don't feel that great about it, but I'd have been okay if the Braves had done that deal, but it's certainly a lot more than I would have expected. The Mets brought back Sean Manaea for 3 years, $75 million. The Mets are now deferring money. $23.5 million in that deal was deferred. It's a 10-year deferral payment starting in 2035, which is just crazy. It would be kind of cool if I were the player. You're retired, you're sitting at home, you're still collecting checks for 10 years. The Bobby Bonilla treatment. That's pretty cool. Pablo Lopez rumored to be available. If that is the case, I think the Braves need to be all over that. I love Pablo Lopez. I think he's a really good top rotation pitcher. Braves legend Ere Adrianza retired. Will Myers, not a Braves legend, but he is also retiring. Jock Peterson signed a deal with the Rangers, 2 years, $37 million for Jock Peterson. Good for him. Never thought he was a fit for the Braves. Basically a left-handed version of Jorge Soler, and we didn't need another DH in the outfield. Apparently the Mets had interest in him, so glad that didn't happen. That would have been really odd to see our boy Jock Peterson playing with the Mets, so glad that wasn't the case. Phillies signed Joe Ross to a 1-year, $4 million deal. I would love to Braves see them do something like that. Just get a guy for 1 year, under $5 million or less, to just be that bridge guy to kind of keep things together till hopefully Spencer Strider gets back. Give me that type of signing, and I'm fine with it. Eloy Jimenez signed a minor league deal with the Rays. Man, his career has fallen off. Looked like one of the better hitters in baseball not too long ago, and now he's getting a minor league deal. Can't stay healthy either. Keep him at DH. Don't put him back in the outfield. He keeps getting hurt. And Andrew McCutchen will be back with the Pirates. Good to see him in that black and gold uniform once again. So those are some of the deals that happened over the Christmas break. Again, things will probably pick back up here in the next couple of days. Hopefully things pick up quickly for your Atlanta Braves. Thank you all for those who made it to the end of the episode. Verlis Gwynn, haven't seen you in here before, said Lance Lynn made $11 million last year and he pitched pretty good. His numbers were okay. Again, not looking for anything top of the rotation wise, but I think it'd be okay. Braves Thrills in here as well. Doc's Cards, is Kutch a Hall of Famer? Off the top of my head, I say no. I don't think that he is, but a really good player, certainly, and one of the best personalities in baseball, I believe. David Thatcher in here with me. Will May also making it to the end. Sox Elite as well. Indigo Jamie, thank you so much. Lex Rollins, appreciate you all. Doug Ibelli in here. Benjamin Lee, thank you all for joining me tonight on today's episode. Carmen Aponte as well. Hello, Jake. Hope you had a great Christmas and New Year to come. Thank you for that, Carmen. You as well. All right, that will do it for this episode of a Locked On Braves. Make sure you follow us on social media at Locked On, at Shortstop Ball and Locked On _ Braves. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're new. Thanks as always for making Locked On Braves your first listen of the day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.